Welcome to the Disney Hour Express podcast. I'm Abby.
And I'm Rob. We are two hopelessly romantic Disney enthusiasts,
Sharing fun stories, secret tips, and family travel experiences.
If you are a Disney newbie, or maybe a season pass holder, we hope you find this information helpful.
We turned our love of Disney into a unique boutique travel agency that books Disney and Universal vacations.
We've got a lot of stories, so cozy on up, choose your favorite drink,
Whether that be a cocktail or a hot chocolate,
and enjoy the Disney Hour Express.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 58. This is the episode where Abby has taken 0 notes.
Can you believe that?
I really can't.
I think, I wonder if this is going to be like a monthly thing now where you just don't take notes.
Where I don't take notes, have no direction. I mean, we have a little direction, we're just going to wing it today, guys. Bear with us.
We're going to wing it somewhat. Now, let's just say one thing. Let's get it out of the way right now. Like, you're going to hear a story.
Oh, you're going to hear a story.
But this is not a Disney story.
Not at all.
But it has a lot of travel-related tidbits, tips.
Because despite what some people think, we do bring our kids other places than Disney.
But do we, though? Or
Will we in the future?
Let's say after this, are we going to go anywhere other than that?
Well, we'll refrain from answering that.
Yeah.
For sure.
For now.
But so we took a little Valentine's trip over to New Orleans, which is where my family lives in the general area. Nobody actually lives in New Orleans proper anymore, but in the outskirts. And so we needed to take a trip down below.
Wait a minute, you're
but
saying...
not to Australia. So
you mean you're living in a land down under?
I love where this is going. Fabulous.
Wait a minute, you're saying you're from New Orleans?
Oh my goodness. Is that like a double trick? Because we've already said it twice.
Well, we're going to say it a lot because we're talking about New Orleans.
So we'll start with, I mean, this is really going to talk about the things that you fear when traveling with children and how when they happen, what do you do?
Yeah.
Right? And what not to do.
Yeah. What things can go wrong on a trip and how do you react? And
also Rob and I are also going to find out each other's thoughts and feelings about particular situations that we haven't really had a chance to talk in depth about, nor did we really want to talk in depth about. So this is going to be really interesting. So basically, we started our day. We sent the kiddos to a little morning school, but we did have to take them out early. And in that time, when we're still at home, not only did we have to plow the driveway, get our baggage all together and out the door, and get our pups taken care of. Yeah, all these things can be high stress.
And it was, Mother Nature liked playing that joke on us the day before.
It snowed.
And it snowed a lot. Like 10 inches of snow.
Like no school snow. Yeah. Like it was a big deal.
So they're like, nah, it's okay. You have an easy morning. That's all right. We're just going to make things 17 times more difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. So we, Rob likes to plow our driveway himself.
He does.
Which is fine. But in that process, this particular time, accidentally, the invisible dog French fryer got broken. So, of course, like right before we leave, when our dog sitter's just supposed to have this easy peasy job of just letting these dogs run around the house and run in the outdoors, now all of a sudden she has to leash our dogs for the whole week.
But it was that... In spite of everything, that was probably the easiest fix of all of, for all the things.
I guess. And then as I was bringing my luggage down the stairs, I was holding it by the handle, which one normally does with luggage. And that stinking handle just broke right off, and the whole suitcase just went flying down the stairs. And it wasn't like a little itty bitty suitcase. It was like
heavy.
I'm going away for a week. But it also wasn't that heavy. It wasn't like overpacked.
It was over.
So there was no reason for the handle to break. But it is an older suitcase.
I was just like, I remember hearing it and I was like, that's not good either way. I was like, that's either the suitcase or Abby. I can't tell.
No, but Abby did fall down the stairs today. We'll just note that. We've done it all in the past week.
Oh, man.
But so, at that point, I have to be honest, I was like thinking like, are these the signs that are saying that we should not go on this plane? Right? When things like bad things keep on happening, you kind of like have that like little ticker in your brain that's like, time to call it off.
Some people have that. The rest of us just know that
bulldoze through. Life
doesn't work that way.
I don't know. I've got superstition lists. So anyways, so that was like was there a third thing that happened before we left, or those were like the two main things?
Let's get on the road here, people.
Grab the kids. We make our way to the airport. We're not even going to talk about airport parking. Totally sucks. You get totally.
That's just so you know. There's a great tip in that I really hate the fact that I didn't look this up beforehand.
We don't normally go from this airport. This is why we weren't experienced.
But normally I do have a tendency to look up airport parking situations, and I've parked in both LaGuardia and JFK before. As we are from the Northeast, you at some point in your life have taken those things, and I've made arrangements because I know that parking is could be crazy and expensive, and that sometimes you have to park in like the outside lots, the third party lots, and they drive you in. I didn't. I heard that there was long-term parking. Never bothered to look it up. We pull in there. We follow the parking. We get to a parking garage and we see the guy. We're like, is this long-term parking? He's like, no, but there isn't long-term parking. You could park here, but it's going to be $80 a day. And I'm like, what? I'm like, is there anywhere cheaper? He's like, over there is 85. He's like, over there is 90. I'm like,
and it's like he was being super evasive about the question, which I didn't appreciate. You know me and how I get a little irked when people aren't like forthcoming and nice, because that's my motto right there.
Yeah,
like we're trying to be helpful always.
But that's also the New York way. I mean, that's just
I would not survive in New York. Hey. But in any case, I mean, I have parked in long-term parking over there, and it's changed so much, and the signage was so wrong, and we were running so late from the morning's incidents that we didn't have a choice. Yeah. We didn't have time to spare, and thank goodness because of the next situation.
Well, if we just parked somewhere else, we would have been maybe better.
That's true. We probably wouldn't have run into that situation. All right. Yes. So honestly. Worst fears ever.
I mean, again, worst fears. Lando, go lay down. Come on, we're podcasting, Lando.
Our little dog is picking on our big dog, which seems to often be the case during this podcast. Yeah. So, okay.
So here we go. We have children, as you know.
And everybody's got their suitcase that they're rolling. And
one of them is dead set on being the leader in most situations,
which I appreciate. That's but in this particular case, we didn't know if the ramp to get across to the airport from the parking garage was up a level or down a level. And so, like anybody else in the world, you'd assume it was down.
Well, the signs were a little misleading because it said transportation to airport, or it said airport transportation. All right. Sorry, we had to bring the dog. We had to stop mid-story and bring the dogs outside. They were just getting a little too crazy. So as we're moving along, me and Abby are trying to figure out what floor, if we have to go up or down.
Right.
Our one child is moving ahead of us and walks into the elevator.
Yeah. Disaster.
As the doors are closing, Abby goes to try to stop the doors from closing.
Right.
But then they were so close together that there was like nothing,
I was afraid that I was going to lose a limb.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest. And I was kind of like, okay, so we can get these back open, no problem, right?
Right. So,
and the doors are glass. I think we said that, right?
Yeah,
that you can see through, but
the doors are glass. There's one child in there. The other child's out. So what I go to do is then, and this is probably where I made things worse, was I try to break. I try to rip the doors open.
He tried to Hulk it open, guys. But understandable. Any dad would do that. They see their child stuck somewhere. You're gonna.
So I can get them open a few inches, but that's as far as they'll go, and then they're just stuck. There's nothing. All of my might, every ounce of muscle that I couldn't get these doors open any further. Right. And what it did, now I put my foot in the door, so I'm holding the door open. The elevator won't go. Abby's trying to come up with a plan to tell our child, hey, go down to floor 2. Yep. I'll meet you there.
Yep.
She takes off to go down there. I let the door go. She hits floor 2 and the elevator just doesn't move. So I'm trying to figure it out. Abby's like calling me. She's like, the elevator's not coming. I'm like, it's stuck here.
I'm like, crud.
So now it's like, everything starts turning in your mind. Abby comes back upstairs. We're trying to figure out what to do. There's a call box in an emergency call box in the elevator, where the elevators are, right? The elevator bank section.
So this callback, you're supposed to call in emergencies. Let's say you have a stalker stalking you, or the elevator's broken, or you are having a medical emergency.
Yeah.
Guess freaking what?
It doesn't work.
That button would not push.
Yeah.
It was it was as if you were just pushing a wall. It was like a fake button. It was so weird.
Yeah. So there's nothing like, in an emergency, call this number, do anything. Obviously, we're trying not to panic. We don't want.
So then one of our other children starts crying, and then when any of my kids cry out of scared, then I start to cry, and so we're all just like kind of crying. And then the one in the elevator just gives after she's over her upsetness, she just gives a sassy look. She's like,
She just kind of went blank faced, and she was just kind of. It was particularly, she was particularly calm during the majority of it. She just kind of was looking out the glass window and looking out into the thing. And it was warmer in the elevator than it was where we were. So, so that was interesting. So we had to call. So then I called 911.
Right.
And hey, the kid's stuck in an elevator. I don't know who to call. There's all this stuff. Right. So they're fine.
And then guess who shows up? An elevator security operator person or somebody.
Not an elevator person. This is just one of the parking attendants.
But did they do anything? They did zero.
They called the Port Authority, who already called.
The Port Authority already knew the call. I
called.
Oh, okay.
Because I called 911, and that's
this is what I mean. We haven't talked about this.
The Port Authority is the governing police,
Gotcha.
and they do all the airports and stuff.
But they disappeared so quickly. They just didn't want to be involved.
That's not part of what they're. They would call a service maintenance guy who would show up in 4 hours from now. That would be their thing.
Poor job.
So.
Anyway,
we're doing all that. The cop,
a female cop comes, and it was so. I really liked her, but I have to say, she was not expecting this in her day. She comes up and she's buckling her uniform and pulling up her pants with her. She was not dressed and ready to deal with people, which I get because she's usually sitting in her car all day, right? Patrolling the area, probably.
I don't know what you think the cops are doing all day.
Well, her particular beat at the moment, I guess, or whatever they call it.
So another cop shows up. They're not there's only so much they can do.
Right.
They eventually they try to talk to her, and again she's calm.
And then they try to talk to our other one who cries more because she finds scary.
Eventually so that we're waiting for the fire department to show up, but because we're on the 3rd floor of this parking garage, obviously a fire truck doesn't fit up there. So we hear the sirens, but we don't see anyone coming up. So they're coming up. They just have to fine.
You gotta take the stairs.
So then the fire department shows up and they're trying to manually trying to get the unlock from a control box that's up above us. that doesn't work. And eventually they just have to come in with a key and like Jimmy, they were able to just pop the lock open, which doesn't open it where we are, starts the elevator going down. So then I go and run down to the second floor and I get there and our child is just out with both. Because she was at the time she had my suitcase as well. She just has both suitcases out.
Was she just standing by herself?
She was just standing by herself.
I was like freaking out, and I'm like calling you, and you're not answering. I'm like, oh, that's my child. You know, like totally freaking out at this point.
So like I'm going, and then she just feels, I could tell, and she was like more embarrassed than anything else that this happened to her.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, I guess we've never like explained to her, hey, if this ever happens, hit this button. Yeah, hit this open button and it will open the doors.
Right. Because usually we're always holding hands or whatever when we're going places. This was a unique situation where they had their suitcases and
much like how where most kids, like our kids do it all the time, is that they have to, it's my turn to touch the button. Can I pick the floor? And so that's all they're concerned about. They have no idea of other functions of an elevator. So parents, next time you're on an elevator with your kid, show them the open and the close buttons. So they know, they understand.
And
how
it was
they work.
so interesting. I was hearing one cop talk to the other cop and be like, did you ask for ID of the children and blah, blah, blah. And the woman cop was just kind of like, yeah, no, they're kids. They don't have ID. And, so I could understand they were trying to take the precautions as cops, which I appreciate. They took your information.
Yeah, they took my ID.
And now, so after that situation, I brought both girls to the bathroom, and Bailey expressed to me that she found, cops scary. And I said to her, yeah, well, they're supposed to be authority. And so it's not that they're scary people. It's just that they are very serious. And she goes, Mom, you'd be a terrible cop. I was like, thanks, babe. Thanks. I'll take that as a compliment. So this was all before we even checked in, folks. This was just a doozy of a morning. Although I have to say check-in went pretty smoothly. As soon as we got all our luggage taken care of and we were waiting the security line, I turned around and I said to the kids, I was like, that was so stressful. And I just said, does anybody want to take a moment to swear? Maybe we all need to take a little swear break, and then that's it. And that's how we do things around here. But our kids' swears are very minor at this point in life, which I appreciate.
I saved all my swears for later.
For later.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So we took our flight. Did anything interesting happen on the flight? I think
we flew
pretty smooth.
We flew. Abby's
minus somebody throwing up on the plane.
Not one of our kids.
And
Abby's video, her screen was broken. She couldn't watch any in-flight movies.
Which, it is what it is. Yeah. I entertained myself.
You make it through.
Yeah.
Flying JetBlue. It's you have the most legroom in coach, as they tell you over and over. And over again.
Anyway, so we got there finally, which was wonderful.
Things were
smooth,
fun.
except for the rental car area was kind of confusing because we rented we rented Alamo.
We rented Alamo.
And we go to find our Alamo car, and there's signs and everything telling you where to go for Alamo. And guess what?
Checked in. I checked in, and the whole thing hey, skip the line. You don't have to go to the counter. Just head directly to the Alamo section and go get in your car.
So we get there.
Okay, we get there, and we go up to the Alamo section.
There's not a single car. There's not a single attendant. There's no check-in point or anywhere to talk to over there.
We're like, what?
So we had to go back down in an elevator, might I tell you, which was not easy to convince children to go on.
We could have went on an escalator.
We could, but we had all the luggage and whatnot.
So I went back down to the counter. I go to where the Alamo counter should be, and there's just a sign that says, counter closed. Any questions, go next door to Dollar. So I go over to Dollar, talk to that guy. I'm like, I have an Alamo reservation. Oh, okay. Go see the Enterprise people.
Honestly.
I'm like, what
in the world is happening here?
Yeah.
No, Alamo, Enterprise, and National are all one company,
Dollar, it was
correct?
National. It might be Dollar's the same.
So
I guess so.
They all work together, but in this particular rental car area, for some reason, they're all on different floors, which makes zero sense. If you're one company, just be on one floor.
Or just take the signs down, man. Just change the signage.
I know. So we got there, and here we are, and we got our car.
Yeah,
I liked
we got
car.
a nice Nissan Rogue.
Yeah.
It smelled like smoke, but
it did smell like cigarettes.
Yeah.
And it was right after Mardi Gras, the day after Mardi Gras, so I wouldn't have expected anything else, to be honest. People are partying.
Well, you don't have to smoke to party.
Well,
I could party with the best of them, but I won't be smoking.
That's true. Neither. But and then we made it to our resort, our hotel, I should say. It was actually pretty great. I liked the parking situation. We stayed at the Arts District Spring Hills Suites, and it's a Marriott company. Now, what I loved about the parking is that the parking garage for the Spring Hill Suites was underneath the hotel, and it was gated off, and only your key card could get you in to that area so you could park. There was plenty of parking for us. We felt great about it.
It was a small parking garage, but it was enough parking.
It was enough, yeah. And our room was pretty good. The kids had their own little trundle type beds, which was great.
Yes.
We had our own little space, so it was great. That first night, we chose to do some little healthy eats, but we got to see parts of the Arts District at night, and we saw so many beads in the trees, which just
lots of beads.
It just made my heart so warm to see it, and it made me think of, it made me nostalgic, pretty much. So it was cool. It was cool to show that to my kids, and be like, let's count them or whatever. It was cool. I enjoyed it.
Did it make you feel warm in the travel day that you just had that was somewhat taxing?
No, I think that was a double glass of wine that I had that evening that made me feel warm of the travel day. But in any case, it was fine. We made it. I think that we learned a lot through that for sure. And
guess what? We learned the rest of the trip. It was parents go first in the elevator.
Parents go first. Yeah. Or we hold hands and we wait for each other.
Parents
and we
go
stay
first.
in
Enough
eyesight.
with the holding hands. You stay back. And then we leave them on the floor because we go down.
Peace out, kids.
Yeah, exactly.
No way. So then we decided, we were like, okay, we got to get a nice night's sleep here, because the next day we're going to explore the French Quarter. We had this big, or at least I should say I had this big grand plan that we were going to go through the French Quarter. I had signed us up for a really great tour, which I'll explain more in a second. And then I was like, oh, and then we'll go to lunch, and then we'll go to Pat O'Brien's, and then we'll go to the Mardi Gras World, and we'll go to blah, 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 blah. I just had this list of places in my head. Well, let me tell you, we only did the French Quarter that day because we just had we walked around so much and just kind of took it at a different pace than what I was thinking, and it was fine. It was great. I'm sad that we missed Mardi Gras World. It would have been great to see it, especially after Mardi Gras. All the floats would have been in and still decorated heavily, but we didn't, and it was okay. So we took I'll give my experience of it, but we took a tour.
Hold on a second. I'd like to hold on. I have to find Abby's soapbox. Let me get it out. Hold on. It's in storage here. Let me put it out. Okay. Abby, please step on your soapbox and go.
Education on vacation is very important to me. Now, I could, of course, tell my very pieced together stories about the French Quarter. I did not grow up in this location. I grew up in the Northeast. I was born in New Orleans. So, but I could tell you more probably about the Northeast, or maybe not. I don't know. So I signed the kids up for something called Creole Tours. It's the French Quarter tours just for kids. But obviously the adults accompany them, because I can't imagine just dropping off your kids with somebody in
that's what I was
the
going
French
for.
Quarter.
I was like, I'll be at Pat O'Brien's. I'll be on Bourbon Street. You guys,
that would be really different. And I thought it was excellent. But this is my rating of what I thought. I thought it was great. I enjoyed it. It was a little lengthy, I think, for our kids' attention span. And I think Heidi, who is our 9-year-old, thought it was great. She had a lot of fun. She enjoys education. I thought that Bailey was a little kind of like not too into it. It wasn't as like tangible to her as it could have been. Maybe there were certain parts which we'll talk about. And I thought that Rob really just thought it was okay. I think he just went along with it. I have pictures of him sitting on a bench being like, okay, what have I got myself into? So we learned a lot of facts. What are some things you have to say about the Creole Kids story?
Well, it was a tour that lasted an infinite amount of time. And no, we learned a lot of things.
Chelsea was our guide. She was great. I loved her a lot.
Guide. She's a school teacher in the area, lives in New Orleans, has kids, very informative. She kind of told us, hey, it was just us today. She was like, it's just you guys. So
cool.
You're getting your own personal tour. And just to let you know, you're here a little early, which is good because that's Abby's. And, that was more, it was an Abby timing as opposed to me. I would have showed up 15 minutes late. Mm-hmm. But we got there. She's like, it's a good thing because I tend to go a little long on this one. I was like, all right, Chelsea, let's do this.
And they do different kinds of tours. So the one that we did was the Living History tour. They do like pirate tours and others kinds that are ghost story tours. But we did the Living History tour. What is this laughing?
Because the living, it's like I could do a pirate tour or a ghost tour. I chose the Living History tour.
Do you think a ghost tour would have gone well?
I mean,
zero
it's a kid's
chance.
ghost tour.
Zero chance.
I don't know.
But in any case, we learned so many things. She took us all around the quarter. Yeah. We learned she had this little box of props that she was like pushing along with her in a cart. And she taught the kids how to properly sword fight. She brought out an old fashioned corset that the women would have worn.
And then she tried to get them into a camisole.
Not like a petticoat, like a hoop skirt.
It's called their camisole, no?
A camisole? I thought that's a sweater.
Is it?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, she tried to she pulled it out and asked the kids if they wanted to get into it. They wouldn't. I would have, but it didn't fit me. So I'm very upset.
Such a shame.
So they were,
But so we learned a lot, and then she told us too about what do they call those chamber pots and how they'd throw them out into the streets. I mean this was all really vivid imagery for the kids. So it was funny because later in the trip when we were coming home, Heidi had put her neck pillow around her waist, and she's like, oh look, I have one of those little butt things that the women used to wear back in the day because they like to make their butts look bigger. And I'm like,
nothing's changed.
And nothing's changed. Yeah. And I was like, well, at least she took away something from the Creole tour. No. But anyways,
let's talk about the things that Chelsea had pulled out from her little box.
Oh, please.
She pulled out bear fat. Right?
That's right, because that's what keeps mosquitoes away.
She pulled out dead leeches.
That's what gives you the good blood versus the bad blood.
Yeah, I know. And she also pulled out
a chamber pot.
And it was a slave list of.
Oh yeah, it was and but she also and she also had a lot of different things that you had to put in order of the timeline, like cards and stuff. But yes, when she brought out the slave list, that's kind of where we all I think.
It was a little
there's a little much for the
and
age.
She's like it gets a little heavy here.
Yeah,
but I mean. And I get it. It's important for kids to understand, understand this. And, it was part of the history and, how bad things were and how things went wrong and all this stuff and how, that was, but it's important to know, but it was just as a way this was the end of the tour. It kind of just
it kind of left you with a different feeling about the French Quarter and where you were for sure. And then a part of where we went, the last place we saw was actually a house where a girl who had been turned into a slave by I think very, very unfortunate circumstances, because I think she was from Baltimore or something. lived, and
with others. Yeah.
And I just thought it was really interesting that I understand why they have these places and they talk about them and they preserve them because it's a part of history that we need to learn about. But it also makes you question, like, are we, what are we saying here? Are we saying that, I just kind of, it kind of leaves these questions that are really scary for you as a human to dive into about history and about other people's feelings about it. It's definitely not a dinner conversation you want to have,
But, again, it is something that needs to be talked about. And you need to understand that it's,
Yeah. But
things went wrong. And it was the way that it just kind of ended, right? The tour.
Yeah, it was very abrupt.
And Chelsea was just kind of like, we asked her one question. Did she know anything for lunch? I don't really know, What do you got? But yeah, you should go head back up this way. All right, see you later. And then we're just
we literally turned around and she was like gone. And we're like, oh.
And you're like, okay. Yeah, just leave us right in front of this, this kind of historic slave museum. All right.
Yep. But that being said, I thought it was great. Again, a little long. We could have probably not done the end. The thing I enjoyed about seeing the historic house is to see how they built their vegetables and stuff in the interior of the house. So like a garden area that was surrounded then by the house, right? So I forget the proper term of those gardens.
Wait a minute, are we talking taupes?
Oh, not yet.
Not yet?
That's a little later in the episode.
Okay.
So it was cool to see the structure for sure. Everything else. So from there, we went to a really nice restaurant. I loved it. I had never eaten there. It was across from the Café du Monde. What was it? I can look up the name.
Couldn't tell you the name.
Let me look it up, but you keep telling your story.
About the lunch? So we all had, the kids had strawberry lemonade. I had
Monty's on the Square.
Yes. No, it was a very good place. They had seating. It was easy to get into. They had a wide range of food so that everyone would be happy.
Oh, yeah. And they had root beer, more importantly, which I think the kids really thrived on for sure.
They needed some.
I had I haven't been eating meat for a couple of years now, but I did have a po' boy. I feel like it's kind of one of those things. I had a po' boy with fried shrimp on it. And I have to say, like, it was good, but I can't say that I necessarily missed fried shrimp. I was kind of like, wow, this how you... There was something about how you bite into a fried shrimp and it like pops in your mouth. And I just didn't enjoy that.
Come on. No one wants to hear that. What are we doing
but
here?
They just did. I explained fried shrimp.
You couldn't.
Anyways.
Let's
So from
move
there, we took a stroll, right?
Yeah, we took a little stroll. We wanted to go. It was finally Daddy's time to shine, and Mommy wanted to do some shopping, so
sure, we made some I had to get Rob's Valentine's Day gift. I got him a placeholder because I had an idea, and I've had this idea for a long time. I just haven't gone through with it. So I explained to him in New Orleans, a lot of the times they put the names of the street in tile on the street corners, and they cement it
in the sidewalks.
And it's a very specific kind of tile. You see it all on the street corners, and it's very familiar to me. So at the place called Flirty Girl, they had these tiles, right?
And how do you spell flirty?
Flirty. I'm not going to embarrass myself with spelling on here.
Flirty. Flirty Girl.
And so I wanted to I said, we can either get our wedding date in these tiles or our last name. And we decided to get our last name in the tiles. And I'm so excited because we will for sure cement them in somewhere around this property when we decide. But I'm excited to have them. And I hope you like your Valentine's Day gift.
Thank you, boo.
I'm sorry that it was kind of like a creative one that needs more work in the future. But I'm glad to have them. I've always wanted to do that for you and for us. But I guess it wouldn't have meant anything if you had never been to the French Quarter. So I'm glad you saw the French Quarter before I got them.
Gotcha.
And then, of course, I thought it would be important to just at least stroll by the Pat O'Brien's so you could see it. And on the way, we passed by Preservation Hall, which I love to see.
Mm-hmm.
Where, I mean, hundreds and thousands of
So, yeah.
very well-known musicians have touched that ground. Had to stop for pictures. I love that.
So we stopped. Yeah, and on the way, you see there's many various. This is on Bourbon Street. There's many pubs, many places for music. There were some street. They were playing on the street there. There was that jazz band.
Yeah, I love seeing live music. We didn't get enough of that this time, but that's okay.
I did get to stop and get the Hurricanes from Pat O'Brien's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This was in the midst of one of our children. This was her 97th store. She was looking for Mardi Gras masks.
Yes.
The perfect one. I think she tried
masquerade masks.
273 of them.
Yep.
And so this was while Abby was taking them, I went and had a little retreat myself.
Yep.
And went on my own adventure and came right back.
But that's okay. So that was nice. We also this time, I think as it got later in the afternoon and we were shopped out and we went around Jackson Square just to see some of the art the last time. And some street performers were out there, which was nice. We ended up back at Cafe Du Monde, which was great. We had our afternoon coffee and beignets. And that's
where then that's kind of the famous place. It's like the touristy
Cafe Du Monde. Yeah. There's a handful throughout the city, but this is the one that people tend to go to because it's right there in the French Quarter. Now, it was the first time that the kids had seen a lot of street performers, so they were delighted with the man who was painted in all silver and stood there for the entire time.
They couldn't. That was what most like. If you ask them what they remember most of the trip, it's probably like one of them will probably say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was cool. And then we also hit up the French Market too. And I might have gotten that backwards. We might have done the French Market earlier, but it's always one place that you had to check out because it has a lot of unique New Orleanian things, or some would say just a lot of touristy things throughout the French Market. But it's more of a place where you can also haggle. It's not, you don't have to just pay the price. I mean, you should pay the price that they're asking for, but a lot of people are known to haggle in the French Market too. So
I wish I knew that before I bought those coasters.
I know. Surprise, surprise. Rob was the first one to be like, I found what I needed. And it was
it wasn't what I needed. I just happened to
wanted. Yeah.
It was one of those, it's like you have those things where you're like, you know what, we broke like the last coaster that we have, like the nice good.
Yeah.
And so Abby's been like using these like little plastic turtles. Like
they're flowers.
Oh, they were flowers. They're like part of like a kid's play set and like using them as coasters. So
that's hysterical.
Like I was like, one time Amazon shopping for coasters, like this is insane. Like I'm not doing. And then I just happened to see these, which is weird because I usually buy nothing when we go away on vacation.
So this was a big shocker. I said shopper, but shocker. So I mean that was kind of, it took up pretty much our whole day. We had walked over 5 miles in the French Quarter at this point, and I think we're just kind of ready to call it.
One of our highlights of walking we kind of went past, which is Disney related. For any of us that have seen the movie The Haunted Mansion that just came out.
Oh my gosh, I have a picture.
Year.
Yep.
Yeah, and we'll post it on put it on the our socials. We were just kind of walking by,
and it was kind of on the outskirts of the hustle and bustle of the French Quarter. So yeah, we were just walking by, and
I took a look and I was like, wait a minute, I was like, Abby, Haunted Mansion, like this is the house that oh God, Jack Black, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was Jack Black that was in it. Was it Jack? Wait, who was in it? Wait, who was Haunted Mansion?
Not that guy.
Wait, no, it wasn't Owen Wilson. No, it was Owen Wilson was the.
But
priest.
Owen Wilson wasn't the one. It was Lakeith Stanfield.
Stanfield, yeah. I'm thinking Jack Black
lived in the. Yeah.
Yeah, he lived in this house. So you'll see if you've seen that movie, like this little house that he lived in. The front of the house was definitely this house. It had to be the way it was set up, and it just showed how he was like being haunted by the sea captain and all that. It was at this house.
So It's so interesting because I'm looking it up right now, and it was the house. It says it's take a stroll down Royal Street, which is where we were, and you'll see it. It was the house for sure.
Just one of those
and it's so interesting because we didn't know that, and we just like randomly walked by it, and we're like, oh wait,
that's totally it.
So interesting. And then the Lafitte's Blacksmith Tavern, or the Napoleon House, which we passed to, was right there. So very cool. So it was a pretty successful day. I have to just throw out there that I am, a nervous Nelly. So I was like, Rob, make sure to put your wallet, in your front pocket or whatever, which you definitely didn't do that. But, it's the French Quarter's known for pickpockets and whatnot. So all in all, it was a really great trip. We had a good time on our French Quarter day. I get really nervous about safety and everything. So I had reminded Rob to just be aware of his wallet, put it in the front pocket.
Stayed in the back pocket.
Of course it did. The French Quarter is known for pickpockets and whatnot. But I have to say, I felt pretty safe. I felt like we weren't in any harm's way. Of course, we saw some boob shirts, which the kids pointed out and we all laughed at. And we're like, it is what it is. Also, I didn't let them go into a few shops on Bourbon Street. Actually, I really tried to say, let's not go into Bourbon Street shops, but there's plenty of shops elsewhere that we were fine. And that was it. We didn't see anything too crazy.
It's during the day. It's during the day after Mardi Gras.
Right.
So, you could definitely take a family there and, enjoy the sights. It was nice seeing the Mississippi River. Yeah. Once they kind of show you you kind of walk up these stairs and you get a great view of the Mississippi. Very beautiful. For those of us that have never seen it before, I've just heard about it in history class. It was a sight to see.
It was a sight to see. It was cool to learn all about that stuff. That night we decided to go a little bit outside of the city for dinner. Yeah. And on the way, I was that lady that made Rob pull over so I could jump out of the car, cross a street, and take a video and picture of a house that I thought was decorated so glamorously that I just had to capture
I think I just automatically started pulling over when I saw her. I was like, she's going to want to get out and take pictures.
Is going to go. So we hit up the Velvet Cactus, which was, I think, the most brilliant idea we had. We were so tired and we were hopeful that this place would work out. Yeah. I had read on another mom's website that this was the perfect place to bring kids because the loudness and craziness was totally acceptable, and I have to say that was great. We ate outdoors, I believe, that night.
Yeah, it's out on the patio, and it was a nice night.
But the way that this place is decorated, you feel like you're eating in a treehouse kind of thing, and it's just like a cool vibe. We really enjoyed it.
That would have been a great. Would have taken Abby on a date there if we weren't with kids.
Yep.
But we were looking out for Charlie the cat the entire time.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a picture. It says, Charlie the cat, he lives here. If you see him, don't be scared. This is his home.
Yep. And so that was fun and cool. And then we let Heidi eat 6 churros, which was also fun and cool. No, we don't find churros often. So it's her favorite thing ever. And so, we allowed that to happen. The next day, we got a good rest. And the next day, we packed up and headed to Mississippi. We were visiting some family that way. We stopped over in Gulfport and saw some dolphins and sea lions and stingrays.
The aquarium of a name.
Ocean Adventures.
Yeah. That was fun.
We met up with some fam.
Yeah, and that was it's a small aquarium, but it's still a good time. They got shows, and there were, I think, 3 elementary schools also there. Which,
that was different.
It made the shows a little bit louder than they normally would be.
Yep.
But we made it through.
Yeah.
We went and had lunch.
We did. And then I wanted to see Biloxi, the shoreline, just a little bit. I vacationed there a lot. And the kids really wanted to go look along the beach for seashells, but guess what? It was raining.
Yeah.
So we stopped at a mega souvenir shop to kind of make up for.
And it's called Shark Heads.
fabulous pictures I got from here because it just, I mean, we'll have to post one. It was just funny stuff.
The front of the souvenir shop is like this, ginormous 30-foot like shark head.
Like a mouth open, like you go into the shark, and then they had like a little miniature shark where you could climb inside and make it look like the shark was eating you. I mean, super creative stuff there, and it was really nice. And then we got over to our cousin's house, which was over in kind of Mississippi, closer to the Alabama side. Which was great. It was great to hang with fam and just
they have a
chill.
They have a 3-month-old baby.
Yes.
We got to hang with. So Abby was in heaven.
Oh yeah, I have pictures of baby feet on my phone right now.
Oh man, baby feet on the phone. That sounds like it.
It was so nice.
So that was overall. That was a good day. We had fun. We went to bed that night. The next day,
following day we went over to
we didn't
Alabama.
really have anything planned though, right? So we were trying to come up with like, well, what are we going to do? And relatives' recommendation. We said, well, let's go over to Mobile, Alabama. There's things to do. They have a trampoline park. Done. Kids.
Yep.
Love jumping. Let's get them tired.
Yep. And they had a good time there, right?
Yeah.
Was that kind of your take on that?
They had a good enough time. They made a friend. They were playing.
Love it. They make friends everywhere.
They were tired by the end of it. They were ready to go.
Yep.
And then that's where things started getting a little bit crazy.
Yikes.
While we were so I went with the kids to the trampoline park, and then Abby and the hosts we were staying with, they went other places.
Yep, we got we had to do some errands, like typical errands, and
without boring you, it was one member of
the party
started feeling sick, like he wasn't feeling good, so that was kind of a thing, but he kind of recovered.
Right.
Now
at this point we had just had some Mexican food and like a margarita each. Nothing and not like grande margaritas, like little petite like margaritas. Yeah. Nothing like nuts.
But it's enough that maybe it could make someone feel sick.
And we chalked it up to like, ooh, maybe it was like bad food.
Yeah.
Well, a few hours later,
when we got back home to the house we were staying at, now both of the couple
both of our hosts were donezo, which left me with a little baby.
It was a lot of time
great.
with a baby.
Yeah, it was fine. I remembered how to put babies to sleep and all those good things, which was great.
And so because of this,
we're still thinking it's food poisoning at this point.
Yeah, and this was the only way because of that actually I agreed to hold the baby, not because I'm anti-baby, but because, as I'm sure you could hear at certain parts in this podcast, I have a cough. I had this cough while we were still there.
That's true.
It wasn't as bad as it is now.
Right.
But I had a cough, so I was like, I don't want to hold the baby. I don't know what's going on. Just in case. Because of this, I had to hold the baby.
Well, yeah, there was it was all hands on deck situation. So you know what? And I found out that Rob is actually very, very good with baby bouncing. Yep.
I got the bounce. Good. Thanks there, Jen.
And so then by that point, we put the baby to bed and we all hit the hay.
We went to hay, and then now cut to about 1:30
a.m.
Yeah. And then one child comes in our room and says, "I don't feel good," and
everywhere.
Things went bad.
And then 10 minutes later,
the
next child.
So our next 36 hours consisted of children sleeping on bathroom floors.
Yep.
And makeshift beds, buckets, cleaning, Clorox wipes everywhere.
One member of the party going to a hospital.
Yes. Yeah. One of our hosts had to go because she was dehydration.
So dehydrated.
It was neurovirus. It was
really you get the picture, right?
Yeah, we're not going to go into details.
None of us were spared. Let's just put it in that.
Yeah,
except for baby. little baby,
the little
which
baby.
thank goodness.
Even though there was talks of 2 blowouts that the baby had the days before, and she just started going to daycare, so maybe the baby. But
never.
Anyway, can't blame the baby.
So we have to. Well, we didn't miss our flight. We called and said that we couldn't possibly get on this plane.
We were supposed to fly back out Monday morning. It was like Sunday at noon. We were still kind of not ready to leave, to go on a plane. Definitely not to travel.
Right.
So we had to call and then change our flight. We were looking at flights. Like I said, there's not many flights heading back up to LaGuardia for some reason.
Yeah.
Even on other airlines. I was kind of surprised by that. So we had limited options in what we were able to do. It was either like you could take a morning flight or you could take a night flight. Right. Or you could take flights with like 1 or 2 stops. Forget it. these kids are not.
We don't want to lose a kid in the...
Yeah, we don't want to do that. So we were trying to get the flight out Tuesday morning, a day later than our current flight. Mm-hmm. And it seemed, now this is like kind of the travel tip of it all. We had no travel insurance. Mm-hmm. We did not take any of that stuff. So we went online. We were flying JetBlue.
Yep.
And so you go online and you could use their online portal, use their website to try and book a new flight. You could change flights based off of your trip. And I found a new flight and it was showing for $213. That was showing on the website. Mm-hmm. So they're giving you a refund for the flight that you have. It would be an additional $213 to book 4 tickets.
Yep.
I was like, all right, that's fine. Problem being, there were only like 6 middle seats throughout the plane left. Mm-hmm. So there was no other thing for me to choose, which obviously the kids, we all need to sit right. At least Abby and the 2 kids need to sit together. Mm-hmm. I call the person on the phone is, they go through the whole thing. They're looking up to book a new flight. And he's like, well, I'm seeing it's $357. I'm like, on here it's showing $213. He's like, well, I can't get the same deal that you're getting. You should book through that. I was like, but there's no seats together. Mm. He's like, well, yeah. He's like, you can book it and then we could see what we can do afterwards. I'm like, all right, let me think about this and go and come back. I hang up the phone. I call back. Let me see if I could get somebody else on JetBlue. They have an option on JetBlue, like most customer service portals, where they try to push you towards messaging on your phone.
Yes, right.
Their agents can handle more on text than they can talking to you. You can only handle one at a time versus you can handle multiple people texting.
Right.
So I start texting with someone. They, again, can't seem to find the 213 that I have up on my website. But what I happened to see was that there were the extra more space seats, or even more space seats on JetBlue were available, and there were 3. There were empty rows, so I could book that. So I'm texting with the person. I'm like, look, we need to at least have 3 seats together. The only thing I see are extra more space seats, or even more space seats. Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay, well, book your flight. If you're getting a lower rate, book your flight, because now they're telling me that it's $450 something. And I'm like, well, it's showing 213.
Yep.
They're like, there's nothing. They're like, well, prices are subject to change. I've had this webpage now up for like an hour.
Right.
I go to book it, and like the price has now changed to that $450 extra. Fine. You're like, the credit card's already high enough. I'm paying $500 for parking. So while I'm doing this, the rep also mentions to me that they have a family sits together policy.
Yes.
So that's
Which
where
is
they're
true.
like, so they're like, don't pay for your
For no additional fee.
Yeah.
The process will ensure a traveling child is assigned a seat next to at least one accompanying adult.
Yes. So the person said, so I checked with them. I was like, so you can help me with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and confirm with them after I book the seats. So I choose the middle seats. I pay the extra fee now that went up $200 more, 200 plus. I booked them. And then I asked the person, and then I'm like, all right, I booked it. Can you help me put these seats together? We're like, yep. Hold on. They come back. The only seats we see are the even more space seats. You have to pay for them. They're an additional $87 each. Like, what? Actual?
Yeah. Excuse me. I just went so you paid like $455 already.
Yeah, $455.
Right? And then now you're gonna potentially be paying another $3.
Yeah, so another $360. With the tax, it's gonna be a little more on top of that. So at this point, we're like so exhausted. Abby and I.
I couldn't even function.
Yeah,
I was just laying in bed listening to this,
Yeah, I'm just like, what? I'm swearing. Now, this is where I got my swears in. The kids got them in earlier. This is where I started swearing.
Yep.
And so I ended up booking the flight. They ended up messing up. They didn't choose my seat. So I was still in one of the middle seats in the back of the plane. The kids were in the front. And I was obviously Abby and the girls were in the front. I had to get back on the messaging service and have them change it. It was this big ordeal. And then, so now we had paid, an extra
$803 or 800.
Yeah.
I think it was 815 or something like that in total. But
yes.
Yeah.
And then what is it that now being that happened, Abby, said, hey, let me investigate this. And what did you find?
That's right. So I can't say that my investigation went very far, but I did call because I felt so impassioned. Why were we told that we had to then buy these seats? I guess I just didn't understand. If this policy is in place that they seat us together, why are we paying another astronomical amount, right?
Yeah.
This is very, very expensive. We've at this point, paid for a whole new flight as it is. And so the lady on the other end said, yes, no, we do have that policy, but you guys paid for the extra room seats. And I said, okay, we paid for those because we were told that we had to be able to sit together. And she goes, well, I can't refund you now because you already used the seats.
What she's saying is that what we should have done was just gone to the gate, gone to the gate and told them that, hey, we're, right now we're all in middle seats. We need at least 3 seats together.
Yes.
And then the policy would have went into
play. They would have transitioned.
And they would have just put us in there without charging.
Right.
The extra seat.
So we could have saved, $300 something. This
was not told to us.
Right. Because they won't tell you that. So
yeah.
In the future, if you are us. Now, there are certain reasons why this probably wouldn't have worked with our family, where we've got a bunch here that are anxiety ridden and need to know that the plan is in place. And so looking back, perhaps this wouldn't have worked. But at the same time, it's just, I think I would have felt more comfortable knowing that we weren't duped into purchasing the seats.
But also, what does it matter if you go to the gate or if you're talking to or messaging a person, a customer service person, why couldn't they just do it at that time? Be like, yep, we could put you together. We'll put you on these 3, put you in these 3 seats. Then if I wanted the extra one, you have to pay for it. Fine. Yeah. That makes, that work.
What puts more salt in the wound, though, is that while we were sitting at breakfast that morning, before we got on the flight, I looked at where we were sitting and I was like, babe, you're sitting in a window seat. That's not where you like to sit. Look, there's a seat 2 seats forward in front of us. Can't we just change your seat 2 seats forward if it's all the same?
Yeah.
And he's just like, really? You don't mind that? And I said, yeah, you're not going to be any use to me over in the window seat. You're going to be 2. And so I go to change it and it refunds the seat. It just cancels it out and refunds the $87. And today That day, the seats were only $70.
So I had to get back
cheaper. Like,
I had to
are
get
you
back
kidding me?
on the messaging service to get the seat again. And they're like, yes, we just saw that there was a refund for $87 when Abby went to go change it. Just automatically did it. You could get the seat, but we have to charge you $70. And I was like,
so it's like if I canceled all of our seats, we would have saved money. And then whatever.
Worth the hassle.
At this point, I'm just like, so JetBlue, you've got crooks working for you. Straighten that blank out.
Wow.
Not okay.
Gauntlet thrown. If this was like, back in the day, you would have like taken out your white glove and you would have slapped them twice. So, like, I challenge you to a duel.
Maybe so. And this is my call for decent people. I just want some decent people. That wasn't okay. I mean, we were in a situation like, did you want us to get on the plane with norovirus?
Yeah. I mean, it was, look, there's all types. You could argue, everyone has their opinion. It's just, for a situation, we just want to make sure that people know going forward, anyone listening to this, kind of what to do or what not to do. The chances you want to take, like I said, that probably wouldn't have worked for us heading to the gate and having to, without having seats together would have been like a whole nother anxiety thing.
Right. But this is also why that the people at the gate are there, right? That's what their priority. It used to be back in the day that we all had to wait in that line at the gate to get our seats and to get it all sorted out and stuff. Like
now I'm going to do everything online and not talk to anyone. Exactly. That's my goal.
Yeah, now it's different. And when we have to talk to people, we get a little flustered. So it's so interesting to us. We're both like JetBlue card people, and we build our points so that we can get free flights and stuff. And at this point, I'm so like,
but the flight down is great. Once you get in those even more space seats, you're like, there is even more space.
They're like golden, man. Yeah. Like it was a completely different world in those seats.
I mean, it's not like the same thing as getting like first class because you're not getting like extra meals and stuff like that or free drinks or whatever. No. But you do get even more space seats. You get even more space, and they're big, and everything's comfortable, and you can sleep. And I was in a row. There was nobody in the middle seat, so I had room. And Abby's having to deal with the two kids.
I always have to. I know. You get your nice little vacation, and
they never want to sit next to me. They want to sit next to you.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
So there you go. We made it back.
We got back. We paid the piper, and the piper being the machine at LaGuardia. We threw in that $480.
See, I didn't even ask how much. I didn't ask. I didn't want to know. And here we are.
So those are the things, and now we're back here.
Do we recommend traveling? Yes.
Yeah, we were kind of like, at the end of the trip, we're like, we're never traveling again. Like, but we're travel agents. We own a travel agency. Yeah. We have a podcast that talks about travel.
But this was definitely a low travel experience.
It was low and high. I mean, there were circumstances. I think we made the best of it too.
We did miss out on seeing half my family because we were so sick. So we didn't get to do.
So we missed the puppy parade.
We didn't get to do the things that we had planned. But that's, I guess, the lesson here is to always have to be flexible. And sometimes our kids are great with flexibility, and sometimes they aren't. In this particular scenario, I'd have to say they were better rather than worse on it, and I really applaud them for going with the flow. But we're happy to be home,
and we're happy to be talking now a little bit about Disney stuff. Yeah, there's a couple of
thanks for bearing with us.
What did you have on the Disney front?
Oh, sure. Me first, huh? So excited. My favorite time of year. All the topiaries are coming back.
We're talking topes, people. We're talking topes.
So, we've got our dates for the Flower and Garden Festival, which I, of course, don't have up in front of me. It's from February 28th. And I believe the end date right now is May 27th. Now, oh my goodness, that's like over a month shorter than last year. It's pardon me, it's ending like last year it ended, I believe it was like July 5th or so. It was like sometime in July, and now it's ending May 27th, and I'm really like disturbed about this because I was hoping that at some point we'd get to see it this year, but we're not.
Does that mean, is it Food and Wine just starting earlier, or is there going to be a gap?
So that's what they're kind of thinking.
Yeah.
We don't have any confirmation on what's going to start earlier, and I wonder if this is going to be all like a new little mini festival in between, maybe with maybe Tiana's Bayou opening up or something. I don't know, but I mean, although that's over at Magic Kingdom, so what does it have to do with Epcot festivals? I have no idea, but I'm disappointed that it's shorter this year. In any case, but I mean, it's going to be amazing. I think there's some new topiaries coming out, which we'll talk about next episode. Once we see some of the pictures, I think about five new topiaries. We'd have to see, but yeah. So that's kind of what I got. It's the Princess Marathon just ended. Let's see. I do have the new topiaries here. And they have a wonderful gnome garden in the World Showcase that's new as well, which is really
figment
cool.
That's I think the kind of leading into. I think there's a figment that's like the highlight, leading right in front of Spaceship Earth.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's a big one. Yeah. But they have Asha from Disney Wish. We can just go through them now. That's a new one. That's going to be at the main entrance this year. I think it was last year. Was it Encanto? Was it Mirabelle that was at the main entrance? I can't remember. And they're going to have Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. That's new this year.
Yep.
They're going to have Coco, Miguel and Dante from Coco.
Everybody loves Coco.
New. And they're going to have the China Penjing Garden, which is new. Right. Really beautiful. There will be 30 topiaries in total and 90 days of topes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about fun.
What you got over there?
So one thing I got over there, and this was a few days old, but we missed it while we were going through our nightmarish travel. Mm-hmm. This was a 1900 Park Fair, which is a restaurant over in the Grand Floridian.
That's right.
It's been closed for 4 years.
That's right.
Right? And that's a character dining experience. That's going to reopen. Reservations open on March 5th.
Now, at 1900 Park Fair, do they have more like Mary Poppins and those kind of characters? Do you happen to know?
Well, I don't know what they had before, to be honest with you, but I could tell you what they have now.
Okay.
The refreshed character dining experience, I'm reading this verbatim, will feature appearances by Aladdin in his Prince Ali outfit,
Ooh.
Cinderella, Maribel, and Tiana in her Tiana's Bayou adventure outfit.
I like that.
It says characters will celebrate the power of a wish.
And where is 1900 Park Fair?
In Grand Floridian. In the Grand Floridian.
In the Grand Floridian?
Yeah. Oh. That's been closed. So it'll be open for breakfast and dinner with a buffet that includes the classic strawberry soup and new menu offerings that pay tribute to the characters appearing in the restaurant. So I probably expect some beignets in there.
I'm ready. Yum, yum.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's happening. There's new buses.
Yes.
They're getting some new buses. They're going to have they have a new system for the wheelchair and the ECVs.
Cool.
A new restraint system. So that's kind of cool. Those seats that flip up when there's no one in there. They actually have charging portals in the seats.
Oh.
And you could charge your phone.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that's like an interesting feature.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Let's see. There's more work going on. Tiana's Bayou. There's all this stuff over in Galaxy's Edge for people that have a Disney Visa card. If you know about the Savi's Workshop, which
you told me about this before. I was very excited.
The build your own lightsaber experience, which is it's a rather pricey endeavor. $249 to build your own lightsaber. I did it before I met Abby, so I did it solo. I loved it. It was a great experience. I had goosebumps. I had the hair standing up in the back of my neck from it. But it is pricey. If you have a Disney Visa card, you get 10%. You get a 10% discount when you have the Disney Visa card in the park, and you could use that now. It's a little bit, brings it down to $225, but
Yep.
So that's a good deal. The last part of it. Oh, the last thing, going over to our friends over in Universal, there's a ride called Skull Island Reign of Kong. It's a 3D ride.
Yep.
That brings you through Skull Island on a madcap adventure with explorers, scientists, old school Tommy guns, dinosaurs, and of course King Kong. I should say it was a 3D ride. It's now no longer a 3D ride. They changed it over to 2D. The reason being, this is mostly speculation. So they changed it to 2D. The 3D glasses, right? Think about everything that goes into 3D glasses. You have to put them out. You have to collect them. You have to have people that are collecting them, that are putting them out, that are washing them, right?
Yeah.
They have to be cleaned in some way. So change it to 2D, get rid of the 3D glasses, and you still have the same ride.
That still doesn't make sense because I feel like that is like so much of Universal.
And that's what
3D.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be more and more of that where they can. I think they're going to start getting rid of it. I think, again, it's a cost-cutting move.
Well, I know we've talked your ear off today, but we did want to ask the girls their small review on New Orleans real quick, and Heidi has an important question that she wanted to ask the parents.
So we are here with
Bailey.
Bailey, I know you. Okay, we want to know, what was your favorite part about our trip to New Orleans?
I really liked going to the French Quarter and seeing Baby Evelyn.
Oh, and seeing Baby Evelyn. Now in your in the French Quarter, what was like the most? What do you remember? What's like one thing you remember the most about the French Quarter?
Lots of paintings.
Oh, lots and lots of paintings. Oh yeah. Well, now, what about any of the street performers? Do you remember any of them?
Yeah. We saw lots of street performers and we saw singers on the streets.
Oh, okay. Well, and that's right. And now, what was your favorite souvenir you got from the French Quarter?
Well, I really like this turtle I got from the French Quarter.
Does the turtle have a name?
Yes, it's called beignets because right after I got her, we named her beignets because right after we got her, we ate beignets.
How convenient. I get it. That's perfect. That was perfect timing. A name that was made in the heavens. Well, thank you very much, Bailey. I appreciate you coming on. And we're going to head over to your sister.
Okay.
All right. And now we are recording with
Heidi,
the other child in the house. Well, besides me, I'm like a big child.
No, you're not.
Oh, well, I kind of act like a big child. All right. So, Heidi, you were also on this trip with us. What was your favorite part of the French Quarter?
The beignets.
The beignets, and you're not talking about Bailey's turtle,
no.
Right? Oh, okay.
The food.
The actual beignet, did the majority of it end up in your mouth, or was it? Where was it?
Most of it, but some of it, like a lot of it, ended up on my pants.
Yeah, right. We all kind of walked out with like powdered sugar like stained in our pants. It was
it came off eventually.
Yes, it did, but I think it's kind of like just everyone like doesn't look at you weird. They're all just kind of like, all right, yeah, that happened. They must have been at Cafe de Mont. What was your like? What's one thing like that stood out to you in the French Quarter?
The guy that was standing still the whole time.
See, the guy that was standing still. He just didn't move, that guy.
No.
How does he do it?
He was all silver. He was jester.
How does he do it?
It was crazy.
You know? What if he has to go to the bathroom? That's what I want to know.
I know.
What happens?
I guess you just hold it.
Yeah, I guess so. What was your favorite souvenir?
My masks.
Oh, your masks, right?
Not like the one that covers your nose and smile. The ones that cover your faces, your eyes.
Oh, Because I think like you're saying masks are like a metaphor, like we all wear masks.
My Mardi Gras masks.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Not Mardi Gras, not metaphor, Mardi Gras. Understood. Well, thank you very much, Heidi. And,
I have a question.
Yeah, I heard you had a question.
For both of you.
For both of us.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we're ready.
Also, for everyone that's watching, for everyone.
For all the
like
listeners, there's a
everyone.
question. All right.
If you've watched Wish, which we've watched
right.
Wish,
We just listened to the soundtrack a few hours ago.
We watched Wish.
do you think Asha is going to become a Disney princess?
Oh. Well, right, we were just talking to Asha's, she's going to be a topiary.
Yeah, she's one of the new topiaries this year at the Flower and Garden Festival. Did you know that?
Wait, one of the statues? Like
Yeah, the ones
Really?
that's made out of flowers.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's a good sign. I think they're showing it. I think they're waiting for Wish to go on to Disney Plus, which I think is supposed to
It's
happen
gotta be
next month.
soon.
Yeah. And then I think she's gonna get added. I think it's
I
gonna.
think so.
I really hope so.
Although I'm not sure if she'll be notated as a princess necessarily, because remember the woman from Encanto, Maribel?
Yeah,
She's
Maribel.
not exactly a princess, but she is definitely loved and in all the parades, right? So I guess that's a bigger question. Will she? Mhm.
But I feel like Asha's more bigger than Mirabelle. Like, because
I know Encanto was pretty big.
Encanto had a bunch of characters, like
No,
that
it's
had
true.
like they all had big parts, but Asha was like the main, like the big one.
So you're thinking she's gonna
I
be a
think
princess?
she's gonna be a princess.
Oh.
I mean, I have the blanket. I just love her.
I
My
love
new
her too.
favorite
She's
movie.
wonderful. Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
they call you an Ascentric, an Asha-centric.
What?
Oh boy,
A
Daddy.
fascia? You're a fan of Asha? Fascia? Nope. Okay. Not gonna work.
Well, all right. I think that's where we're gonna wind things down.
All right. Thank you, Heidi, for joining us.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay. So yeah, then there you have it. You heard right straight from the
know.
mouths of babes right there, their thoughts.
I'm glad that they'll have memories. I appreciate that. But all in all, I'm glad to be home. Glad to take a couple of months to reorganize and keep on going.
And then get ready for our next trip, which
Yep, exactly.
yeah.
I can't wait. In any case, thanks so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed our episode today.